also record to our computer. So we have everything going good. Yeah. So welcome everybody. If you're watching us live, this is our first person we are interviewing for our podcast called.
Oh, I didn't realize I was the first person.
You are the first person.
That's awesome. Thank you. So honored.
Yeah. So Danielle is really an amazing person, and me and Christine actually met her, which we feel like all of these things are pretty divine interventions and why we have started all of our stuff together. We went to an event in Portland, Oregon back in March that was hosted by the wonderful Jaya Rose, and we met Danielle there. And I had seen videos of her and heard about her and a few groups that I'm in before this, but we met officially while we were there, and I just loved her energy and her spirit. You can just feel it coming off of her. And so I was also amazed to hear that she had started a business with her husband before in coffee roasting, has her own business now, and also has 3 kids and is just rocking at life. So we were definitely wanting her to be on our podcast. She was one of our top choices, and also one of her friends, and our other friend Danielle, another Danielle, is going to be on next week. So we're doing all the Danielles.
All the Danielles. That's
Yeah. So Danielle Ewalt is a business strategist that works with small to medium-sized business owners. She helps them stop doing everything themselves, which me and Christine know that struggle. We'll be hiring Danielle soon, and strategically drive growth and manage their team better. She completely understands what business owners are going through because she owned a coffee roaster for 8 years with a staff of 20, which she sold 2 years ago. And I'll link to all of her stuff so you can follow her and see all of her wonderful stuff. But that is her business side. She is also a mom and lives in Portland, Oregon. And we're going to hear a little bit more about her mommy side today, because it is a huge part of our lives, even as we try to do a million other things with our businesses and with what we want to grow our lives. We also have children. So that is a huge part. So welcome, Danielle. We're so excited to have you here. Yay! Yeah. So we're just going to kind of dive in, and I kind of introduced you with your bio, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do and who Danielle Ewalt is?
Well, yeah. So like you said, right now what I do is I'm a business strategist, and I really love to work with small businesses who have typically somewhat chaotic business. Things have been going pretty well for them, but a lot of times they have employees that work for them, or they're about to need employees because they can't do it all themselves anymore. I just really help them figure out the strategy for that, thinking about like long-term, where do they want to go, really setting that intention rather than just being reactive and just growing like a snowball, and coming up with clear strategy. And then a huge part of what I do is really helping people with accountability and making sure they stay the course, even when they have the self-doubt or their, new ideas pop up, because as entrepreneurs, we all have a million great ideas, but helping prioritize what's the most important thing to really move your business forward and gain traction and profitability and all that kind of stuff. So that's the business side of what I do and what I love doing. And like you said, I'm a mom with 3 kids. So my kids are 7, 5, and 2. They're a handful. I have a girl and 2 boys. And so that's that's the mom side of me. And my husband is also an entrepreneur. We used to own the coffee roastery together. And now he has software that serves coffee roasters. And it does production planning software on the back end for wholesale coffee roasters. So we're both in the thick of it. I'm sure my kids were constantly talking over them about like business stuff. So, it's sort of like, it's what we've been doing for the past decade, for sure. It's what we love.
That's awesome. Yay. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know when you started sharing about coffee roaster, I'm addicted and love all things coffee. So I'm like, oh, she's so cool. And I actually looked up your husband because you had mentioned he does stuff. And I was telling my husband, who is a techie, so he was like, oh, that's so cool. He did this. So it's fun. And I totally understand. My husband has much of an entrepreneur spirit too. So we're always talking about business ideas and things he wants to create. And my poor daughter's like, what are you guys doing?
Exactly.
but maybe we're raising little entrepreneurs without even
Yeah.
needing to. Yeah. So your kids, you know, you were just talking about them and their ages, but maybe a little bit about them and how maybe how they handle that too, just of you being having your own business and being busy with that.
Yeah. So my daughter Ramona is 7. And so like I had a business before I had a baby. And I always call my business, our coffee roastery was my first baby. So it was a huge slap in the face to me when I had her. I actually like, maybe, you know, if you would have asked me, even in college, I would have said, yeah, I think I might want to be a stay-at-home mom. And after like a week of being home, I cried when my husband came home and I was like, I want to go back to work. Like I miss being around adults and working. And I'm a very social person. I'm very like, I love connection with other people. And so that like being home and like then him going away and going from like being in a coffee shop setting, which obviously is super social, to being at home was really hard for me. So it was interesting for me to figure out, you know, learning about myself and that adjustment to life. And sort of from then on, we've just made it work in numerous different setups with childcare or not childcare or working with my kids, which I don't think works very well, and then working not with my kids. And so my kids have like never known anything other than their parents owning their own business. You know, they would come into our coffee shop and they'd go behind the counter and all the staff knew them. And, you know, so that was fun for them and special when they would come visit us or come into the office or go see dad roasting and different stuff. And then when we sold that business, it was interesting transition. And we sold it 2 months before I was due with our third. And then we moved across the country because our roastery was in Wisconsin. We had a 2-month-old and a 5 and a 3-year-old. So we moved across country, put our roots down, and both started new businesses. I don't necessarily recommend starting 2 new businesses at the same time. It's been interesting and really challenging. And it's better maybe if you're not at the exact same stage of like startup. Maybe one's a little further ahead than the other. But so that's been interesting. And I think, you know, my kids, it's been interesting because especially my oldest, who I think cognitively gets things a little bit more, but she, you know, every once in a while she'll ask me like, well, why do you need to work? And, you know, I'll talk to her like about, there's just like money, like people need to work to like make a living, to buy things. But I was like, you know, mommy really loves to work. And so when she asked me like, why do you have to go to a meeting? I'll say like, you know, I love to work and I love helping other people. I love what I do and it's important to me. And I think that's really strong for her to see that I don't dread going to work, or that it's not this like, I have to go to work again today. You know, like that case of the Mondays, like I'm like, yeah, Monday, let's get back at it. You know, so it's interesting. And I think she just asked me one time this year, she's like, I was talking about another friend of hers whose mom stays at home. She's like, well, what do you mean she stays at home? I'm like, well, she doesn't work. She's like, she doesn't work? And I like, I was like, oh man, like we've known lots of other parents where one stays at home. And it was like right now, if she's got a group of friends who almost everyone has both parents work. Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting to me how her normal is shifting a lot, and things that I'm like, oh, you know, maybe I feel guilty sometimes that we don't have a stay-at-home parent. I don't actually feel too guilty about it, but you know, like, but you know, I think like, what's her perception? But this is just totally normal to her, and it's okay. And I'm still really accessible, you know, so I'm not like gone for 10 hours. Like I still see my kids a ton. So yeah.
Definitely. No, thank you for sharing that. It's always interesting to talk to moms that, since my daughter is only not even 2.5 mm-hmm. and pregnant with a second, hearing the next life in a few years, like hearing about your 7-year-old, that's really great, because I mean, we all have that mom guilt, but I know me and Christine both can relate that we love working and we love what we do. And I do tell my daughter that, and that gives me hope too. I tell her that a lot. And I told her that this morning, that, you know, mommy's got to go get on a call and talk to a really fun lady, because we're going to share some good stuff with people. And I think that is so important and vital to share with our kids. But also what you just mentioned about accessibility. I went to work for a startup, not my own, at 3 months, when Lily was 3 months old, because it was a great opportunity. And I thought I was going to be working like 35, 40 hours a week, and it was 75, 80 hours a week. And it was horrible for that time of my life. And that's what propelled me back into entrepreneurship, was that, no, I want to be accessible to my kid, but I want to do what I want to do. And I think that that's the beauty of, you know, owning your own business. It's hard, obviously, as you mentioned too. It can be a struggle. But we are able to be more accessible to our children and allow, a whole different growth pattern for them. To be able to see us enjoy our job, like you said, being able to go on Mondays and enjoy it, but also being able to, if we need to take off a Thursday because our kid is sick, we're able to do that. So I think, that's the beauty in that. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Flexibility, even, like if there's a school concert, like my husband and I can both, as long as we know ahead of time and we don't schedule, like we can both just, go for that hour and a half and not feel like we have to take personal time. There's not, and, we by no means take ridiculous amounts of vacation, but I do take a lot of days or afternoons here and there, just on my own free will of whatever my schedule wants. And that's really empowering to me. Every once in a while when I think about like that restriction of a job, especially around kids, and their schedules and just the needs of what's going on, or like my kids' birthdays, like I took the birthdays off, and was able to spend the time with them. That's, extra special day. And so I just got done with birthday month. All three of my kids have their birthdays in May. Don't do that. If you have more than like, I feel like this is going to haunt me the rest of my life. This poor planning on my part. Like in May is just exhausting and like so much craziness going on. But it's still that fun of being able to take that time and just do stuff. So there's a lot of perks. And, there's also like, I put my kids to bed by 8 and I go do some work for the next 2 hours. And that's not the perk, but
I know that's the struggle. But it's a necessity to be able to have that flexibility. But at least you're doing it for you. And I think that's what always I come back to if I ever go through my mind if I ever want to work for somebody else, is that I'm doing it for me because it's what I'm growing, and I have the ability to stop it at any time if I want to, or change my schedule, or take, do less so I can, live more or whatever it is. That's really good. So kind of off of that, how do you balance? How do you, do it all, quote unquote? Obviously we don't do it all. But having 3 kids and you and your husband both running your own business, there is that accessibility and more flexibility, but still, how do you, especially for a stay-at-home mom that maybe is interested? I know me and Christine have a lot of moms that are interested in starting their own businesses, but feel kind of that overwhelm of how will I balance it if I start this?
Yeah. Well, I just first, I like to tell people, I don't believe in balance at all. I never strive for it. I don't believe in doing it all. I believe that you will drop balls. You have to go into it knowing that certain things won't get done. And you have to there's a give and take in everything in life. And that if you choose to go into your own business, or if you choose to work, whatever it is, you are going to be giving up something and replacing it with something else. And so just having that, saying consciously that that's what I'm choosing and that's okay. And I think the issue comes in a lot of times is when we do say that we want to do it all, because it's sort of I don't think it's true. I don't think usually and even if people say well, I can do it all, it just means that they've maybe accepted that there's parts that they're okay with that they don't do. But even I think of you wrote that Facebook post the other day about laundry. And literally, so laundry is something that haunts me a little bit. And I'm not a naturally super organized, clean, anal person at all. And so laundry is just really challenging for us. And I got to the point I was fighting with my husband over it. I was this is taking up hours of my time. So I was you know what? I'm just going to leave baskets in the laundry room. Everyone gets I sort them. I don't mind doing the laundry. It's the folding and putting away. So, I'm putting them each in their basket, and I take my basket and fold it and put it away. The rest of them, do what you want. Now my kids are 7, 5, and 2. So they're not they're not really, my 7-year-old, I think she's a little more attuned to folding sometimes, but nobody else's clothes get put away besides mine. And then maybe once a month my husband's do, because he does it. And I'm I'm done putting away your clothes, just so you know. He's okay. And because it's freed up our time, so much. I don't argue with him about it anymore, saying can you help me? You're I folded your clothes. Why didn't you put them away? There's just so many levels. When I let that go, that it just made life a lot smoother. And I think it's just a really little example that sometimes you have to let certain things go, and just be okay with it. And there have been times where our business is really crazy and I haven't signed my kids up for any extracurriculars. because I'm like, I don't have the capacity for that right now. I'm just happy to like do my business and have dinner. And that's what I have to focus on. And, and then every once in a while I'm like, oh, their friends are in swimming and soccer and, all these other things. I'm like, I can't do it all. And so I just need to let something and be okay with it. And so a lot of times it's just giving ourselves the permission to not do it all and be totally okay with that right now at this point, that's too much for me, and understanding our own capacity. So like, I personally know that I have a really high capacity for chaos. Like a lot of people who like a lot of structure and they don't like the unknown, my life would just drive them bonkers. But I have a pretty high tolerance for that. But even like last month, there were a couple of times, like you said, you're having Danielle Savory on next week. There were 2 times I called her and I said, girl, I'm about to lose my shit. Like, I need some help. Like, I just had a ton of things going on. And it just was like pushing me over the edge. My daughter broke her arm really badly. I had all these other personal things just in our life, just like crazy things. And she just helped talk me off the ledge of just being like, okay. And like she said, she's like, you have to like put some self-care things in place here. You gotta get back to like doing some of your routine, because I got out of it and it just was really chaotic. So I think for a lot of people, just accepting that they can't do it all and just prioritizing, like, what is the most important thing? Because when everything's important, it's just too much. And so if you can just say like, these top 3 things are the most important to me, that's what I'm not going to give on. And the other things I have compromise within, whether it's time or extracurriculars or, like feeling of obligation to like be everywhere, be with family, be with friends. Like you have to like budget those types of spaces. So I think those are all the big things that I see.
Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful. Yeah, your laundry advice, I was telling my husband about it. He's like, that's actually not a bad idea, because we both hate, like, we're both not clean freaks. We're both not we're organized, and like, I'll be organized in my business, but I won't be organized in my home life. And I think that kind of drives us both crazy, because we're both very similar in that respect. And so, yeah, I mean, we would get into not like, it's kind of those like tips about it, or just the tension, just feeling. And I think that that's a big thing that can come up, and at least it has in my life with entrepreneurship, is when I feel like I need to do all these things because I'm trying to strive for something that's not happening. That's when I have to ask myself those things, is what is the top priority here? What's the most important for this week that I have to get done for my business, and also for what do I have to get done for my family? Because it is kind of that, both of those things, and we have to include that. But I love how you talk about not signing your kids up for all the extracurricular activities. I have 2 dear friends who are stay-at-home moms and don't run businesses, and I do. And we're like all best friends, and it's a really big struggle sometimes for me, because I'm like, okay, Christine gets it. So Christine's my Danielle Savory of you, because it's like, okay, I can't do this. Like, I need to cancel this zoo play date because I do not have the capacity to do this week. And sometimes they don't get it, and I have to be okay with that. That's just how it is. And I love the prioritizing of the 3 things. I think that's the best advice to give to any mom in general. And especially a mom that's in any type of business, because you can't do it all, and that's okay. And you have to see, your kids they would care more to have 5 minutes of time with you, that you could give them before bedtime, than they care about going to soccer, because they're not going to remember that. Let's be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And, sometimes it's easy to get caught up in like, oh my God, my 5-year-old isn't a soccer pro. Like, I didn't sign up for soccer. Clearly they're never going to play. Like,
ever.
It's weird. Like, it's this weird feeling. And I'll just still get caught up in it. Like, oh, I guess that's just not going to be their thing because they haven't done it yet. And I'm like, what am I thinking? Like, they're so young still. Like, this is ridiculous. So, letting us have more leeway and letting our kids be more free to have that time and space of, of just like testing out things, and not being like, you have to do soccer every season now, or you have to do, don't get me wrong, my kids are definitely still signed up for things, but it all depends on my mood. It's totally dependent. Like, they're like, this whole winter, they didn't do swim lessons. And last winter they did like swim lessons back to back, because I was like, I can't deal with it right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Different seasons in your business too, and different seasons in our, just in general. Like, I'm sure like now this year, going from a 1-year-old to a 2-year-old is quite different than from the year before.
It's like the reality of having 3 children just hit me like in the last 3 months. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
There's so many children.
Yeah.
I think 1 is so many, so I may not be the best person to talk about that. Something happened, like 1 children is all the children in my life.
1 children.
10, it's all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it definitely can be overwhelming.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, like having that person, like, you can go to Christine, and like I have my good friend Danielle that I go to, and she gets it. Like, she's got kids. She and her husband are both entrepreneurs. Like, we have really similar lives in that sense. So I can call her and just be like, like, this is what I'm feeling. And, like having someone to, or when you're like, oh my God, am I a bad mom? And, or like, I just feel this weird guilt, and having someone to be able to talk you off the ledge is really important, I think. And in this, if you enter into that space of having someone, like, it's really key and like reaching out and actually doing it, because it'll make you feel so much better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, me and Christine had a moment this week, and Christine said to me, I'm feeling like a fraud because we're creating this mommy space group right now, and we're like both like want to kill our children this week.
Right.
So it was just
I've never felt like that.
Yeah, never, ever.
No, because all other moms are perfect, and
I know.
we lock ours in a room and run away. So that doesn't happen to any other mom.
Just this morning,
But then we just started sharing that, and we're just like, okay, time to be super authentic with our ladies. And then everybody's like, yes, and let's do this. And, everybody agrees, because it is so crazy to have children, 1, 2, or 3, or 7. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. If you have 1 child, you may as well have 7. I mean, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah,
you might have 7 different personalities in one day.
Yeah.
So.
I have a stepson who's 9, and then mine is 3. And most of the days I walk around going,
that's about all you can do. For sure. So
well,
you're
circles around you, and you're like, I don't know what's happening in my life right now. And you just continue to do what you're doing while they're running circles, screaming, like the Lost Boys and Peter Pan.
Yeah.
That's my house. And I used to think it was just my house that was like the Lost Boys and Peter Pan. And then I started to realize it's all moms.
Mm-hmm.
Being a mom is special.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to what Danielle said about being able to thrive in chaos. I definitely have had to up my ability to thrive in chaos, because that's not necessarily my natural reaction. But I think after becoming a mom, I've been able to learn how. I guess you just inevitably are thrown into chaos.
Yeah.
And now I can do so many things. Like, my husband will be like, did you hear anything that that was just going on? I'm like, no, I just tuned all of that out so I could get the dishes cleaned so I can get on a call in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's just, what you have to do to make it through. So.
Like, I realized 5 minutes before this call, I was in my pajamas. I had no bra on. I had not brushed my hair. I had not brushed my teeth. And my son is sick. So I needed to do his meds.
Yeah.
And Brooke's like, we're on. I'm like, oh, I am a hot mess. And it's 12:30 my time. It's not 9:30.
That's even
afternoon.
Yeah.
It was one of those. Okay, let's do it.
I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah.
We
My
make
mom
it
was
happen.
running, brushing my teeth, brushing my hair.
Yeah.
Good job.
I think, one of the things that I've become better and better at is letting go of like certain mom expectations. Like, I remember when I first had my first, almost all my friends used cloth diapers, and I tried them for like 2 days, and I was like, screw this. I can't even do my regular laundry. Okay. Let alone cloth diapers. And like letting go of this feeling of like, I'm using disposables. And I was like, you know what? That's what I have to do right now. Like, I can't handle that. Or like, even this year, like, I have 3 kids that had 3 birthdays. One was a Betty Crocker cake mix. One was somebody down the road, like a friend of mine. She's like, I got leftover cupcakes. And I said, great. I didn't make my daughter a cake, and so I'll use those. And because I was just going to give her ice cream. And then the other one I actually did make homemade. So I was like, 1 out of 3, I'm doing great here. But like this like perfectly homemade, beautifully frosted, decorated, like and I actually love to bake. Like I'm a really good baker. I love to bake. We owned a bakery. And I was like, I just don't have the time right now. And so I feel like really letting go, and like my kids don't care. Like the fancier it is, the more they hate it. So like, they don't really care. So it's one of those, for me, it was really like, I just need to let go of that feeling like I'm a bad mom if I don't do that. I'm like, no, I'm a good mom. I'm celebrating their birthday. I love them very much. I don't give a shit what kind of
You
kids.
know what I blame? I blame Pinterest.
Right?
I blame Pinterest for making us all feel like really horrible mothers if we're not DIY chalkboarding everything and creating cakes and bento box lunches.
Yeah. I'm thinking that the moms that actually put these things on Pinterest do not have children.
Yeah. Or the entrepreneurs.
They don't have kids. Or they have like
Jennifer Ziegler. She has children and she posts the most beautiful food.
But that's her passion and her job.
Right.
Yeah.
So she makes the
Those
time
people
for
on Pinterest, I would bet that's their job. They're Jennifer, amazing
that.
Ziegler.
That's true. That's true.
You know,
Yeah.
So because Jennifer is my friend and makes amazing yummy food,
Right.
I will let her be on Pinterest because she's the mompreneur.
Well, and it's one of those things, like if it's what's important to you, that's cool, but don't feel bad if you're like, I don't really want to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't have time. Like, then just like let it go. If you want to do it, like, and I get it, because sometimes I do want to do it and I go all in, but I can't do it all the time.
Yeah. It's just making that conscious choice of what's important, what's the priority this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I know you mentioned that, you were having a rough patch, and you reached out to your friend and she was like, you need to get some self-care back in your life. So kind of, what are other times that you really realize that you need to engage in self-care? Because I think as an entrepreneur, we have to be more self-aware of ourselves to succeed. Yeah. So what are kind of those things that come up for you for when you know that you need to engage in self-care?
Well, I think the first thing is knowing about yourself what self-care even means, because for every person that's really different. And, like whether that's needing to be like having personal space time alone, or maybe it's just like time away from your family. That's a little bit of self-care for me sometimes, like just the incessant momness of it all. I'm like, I was saying, I'm a very social person, and my self-care is more about like having connection with other people rather than taking alone time. I've never been good at alone time. I'm trying to get a little better. I think it's something sitting still and having some reflection is important for me, but it's not my go-to. But for me, like, so meeting a friend out for a walk or a dinner or coffee, like that's like definitely part of self-care for me. So socializing is really big for me, and not just socializing, but typically it's just like, I need to connect with people on an intimate level. So just a couple of us. A big networking event doesn't count. Though I may have fun sometimes, that's not what really will feed me. And then like for me, like working out, and I go in waves. Like I definitely don't have it down. I go in these waves of my consistency of working out, and I know how important it is for me and how much it affects my mental sanity. And typically I can tell when I'm out of whack. The more self-doubt I have, the more short I am with my kids, annoyed with everything in life pretty much, no matter what I see, it's ridiculous. I don't like it. So like recognizing like, okay, everything's making me angry. I feel like shit. I'm not sleeping well. Like I know, like I need to take these other measures. So this morning I went to a yoga class, and I haven't been to one since like the fall. Or maybe I went to one this winter. It's been a while, needless to say. And I really love yoga. And it's one of those funny things like, okay, I love it. Why don't I do it more often? But so it felt great, get back into it. Finally went to one this morning. And for me, the thing that I have found with numerous children is that, and my personality too. So I don't do things at the end of the day. It's really not a good time for me. Like I really need to like make the time for me, in terms of a physical workout level, early in the morning. So social time for me, I like want to be social at night. My workout time needs to be in the morning. So like for the last year and a half, 2 mornings a week, I run or walk with a friend Tuesday, Thursdays at 6 a.m. And that's been awesome. It's really consistent. We always do it. It's great for me to have somebody to meet out, because otherwise it's hard to wake up sometimes. But that's been really great. And there's a lot of other times in the last couple of years that I've made that workout time at, the 6 a.m. slot. And that really is the most ideal time for me, because my family sleeps till 7, like I'm lucky. My kids aren't super early risers. So, pretty much everyone's, doesn't wake up until right around 7. And, so, maybe I'm getting back while they're just, things are stirring, but that self-care of doing that is really important. And then even just like diet wise, like feeding feeding my body food that gives me the capacity and the energy to do all the things I need to do. Cause I got a lot of things I want to do. And so when I'm eating really crappy or too much sugar, I'm just lethargic. And I know that it's like, it's not just for like physical weight or health in the terms of like how I look, but for me, it's an energy thing that when I don't eat well, I don't have the energy to do all the things I want to do. And I have a lot I want to do. So that's big. And, drinking water even, it's just like, they're all the basics. There's no like secret sauce here, but it's like, and then surrounding yourself with other people who are doing those things. I think that's the most important thing. And thing that I found is that when you're not around other people who like have the same philosophy as you and the same wants and desires, it's really easy to get in these patterns of like unhealthy behavior and just like being negative about the world or whatnot. And so being around other people who have a similar just point of view on life is a big part of my self-care, and my like mental sanity is huge for me. Yeah,
I totally agree. You definitely, those are the best ones. I know my first trimester, I use the excuse of it being my first trimester to eat more, not really even sugary for me. It's like just eating like more bread or something like that just doesn't fuel me in the way that it should. And the second trimester, I haven't been amazing, like imperfect, but I've also not eaten as much of that. And I have so much more energy. Like I was able to go all weekend without a nap, which is huge for me lately. And I've had more time for my business and being able to put in that time for my business, but also for my family. And it's so essential if we don't keep up with those things. I know Christine agrees too. If she doesn't get her workout in or her run in, she doesn't feel like she has the capacity to give the energy that she needs to her business or to herself. I'm speaking for you and you're right there. But I know how
I can't talk right now. I need to go for my run. I will come at you with all these things in an hour.
And you totally will every time.
And I like nail it. But it's funny that you mentioned the working out. I'm a personal trainer and a health and wellness coach. And I can tell you that I don't work out and do that stuff, even though I know I need to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of the easiest things to be like, oh, I'll just do it later. We're not going to do it later. But it makes the entire difference to our day to get that energy expenditure and to feed your body that beautiful fuel. You just don't, it's one of the easiest things to push aside. I haven't run in 2 days. And I blamed it because honestly, I need new sneakers and they won't be here till next week. But please, I'm a personal trainer. I have 5,000 things I could do to work out. So to hear you say that, I was like, I feel you. It's the easiest thing to push off.
One of the other things that's been interesting is that I stopped, well, not stopped, but most weekdays, I stopped drinking wine or alcohol during like Monday through Thursday or Sunday through Thursday, really, because waking up early is really hard when you have, and even for me, just like, it's just a glass of wine, even though it was maybe sometimes 1 or 2, but like that really affected my ability to wake up and my sleep. And so when I have, I've cognitive, like really been aware that saying, if I'm at a social function, I want to have one, fine. Like I'm not super strict on this, and I love me a Friday happy hour. So don't get me wrong. So the weekends, it's still like, of course I have a beverage and I'm happy about the weekend, but by cutting that out during the week, it's really helped. Like that's been a big self-care thing for me, and something that I've found has greatly affected my ability to wake up early and to then do the other self-care. So it's funny, all these puzzle pieces that we have to figure out about ourselves, because other people, like, they shouldn't wake up in the morning, and there's all this rage about waking up in the morning, but not everybody needs to do that. A lot of people are great night owls. Like I've never been a good night owl. But so it is important just to figure out what works best for us. But that's been one of those little things that's been really helpful for me, of like, I don't need to just have a drink because it's dinner time. Mm-hmm. And then I actually get sort of cranky with my kids, like, because I'm like, you need to go to bed. Mommy is trying to relax, but I can't relax until my kids are asleep. And by that point, I'm like, nah, spirits move. I'm done, Yeah,
then it ruins that you had that glass of wine to begin with.
So that's been an interesting little part of the step of the process for me that I figured out too.
Yeah, I really love that you brought up that for your energy level and for you waking up in the morning, I'm the same way. If I make time in the morning to work out or to do whatever I need to do before Lily is up, my day is completely different and I have way more energy, because by the evening I'm the same way. Like I'm like, okay, I just want to like chill with my husband or go do something with friends or just be with my family. And I can't have the capacity to do, I'm like, workout after 5 is not happening.
I'm the dead opposite.
Yeah. And Christine's the opposite, which is excellent for a business partner, because I can talk to her late in the evening when I'm just like having these random ideas come to my head as I'm putting Lily to bed. And I'm up early, so we can have a conversation before Lily even wakes up.
Yeah.
But it's not
3 hours apart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
But you're right. It is about knowing there's so much, I don't know, like Huff put into, get up early and start your day. But I have a kid, obviously I'm up early, but that doesn't work for me. I literally spend my first 3 hours, I wasn't even dressed to get on this call at 12:30. I spend my first 3 hours of the day wandering around clueless. But then, it's like 7 o'clock at night. I want to go for a run, and then I'm up till 4 a.m, just cranking out content. But that's how it's always
morning.
That doesn't happen to her every night. She just
every night. It's been much more consistent lately.
Yeah.
But sometimes I have to force myself to work out earlier, because I'm not one of those people who can work out at night and then go to bed. Mm-hmm. Working out for me is literally like drinking one of those energy drink things.
Yeah.
I'm up for forever. So you're right. It is absolutely important. So speaking of knowing that stuff, how are you making the time? We always say that, we have so much going on, and we're so busy and everything is chaotic. I don't have the time. So how do you physically make that time?
Well, like for me, like I think, if people are in relationships, and especially like if you have kids, so first you need to, like, if you're going to be doing things for yourself and on your own, like who's watching the kids? So that's number one. And so my husband and I are amazing communicators. And I think like we've been married now for almost 14 years. So it's been a long time, and, we've run a business together. So we know how important it is to really be on the same page. Now, sometimes that's literally like this morning, it's like, okay, who's picking the kids up from school today? You're on from this time to this time. Then there's this thing going on, like it's a lot of detail, and I think the big thing for me in making the time is communicating to my husband, like, this is what I'm doing. And this is, and sometimes saying like, hey, are you cool? I'm planning to do like this morning, it's like, I'm going to a yoga class. Like he already knows like my Tuesday, Thursday schedule. And I was like, I'm going to be doing this yoga class going back like 7:15. He's like, okay, cool. Or I've gone to, like, sometimes I go to things in the evening for, but especially like I was saying, the social thing that's really important for my self-care. Like I just check in with him. Hey, I've got this, I want to do this, or I'm going to call a friend. Are you okay if I do this? And then I also started doing some of my socializing, like after the kids go to bed. Cause obviously bedtime like sucks. Okay. Like for me, but like some people are like, I love bedtime. I'm like, I hate bedtime. Like, I feel like I'm just fighting to get them all to do what I want them to. And like, especially like with 3, it's much easier to divide and conquer with 2 parents. So if I leave at bedtime, that's an extra, like that's a big stress on him. And he's fine. Like, because I'm actually gone probably at least one night a week doing something. But if I just need like a little social fix, sometimes I'll be like, hey, are you cool if I go, at 8:30 and meet someone? And that's really helpful. He's like, yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. Go for it. So that's another time for me to make time. That's not as much stress on my husband. I still am there, like, and I'm still there for my kids. Like we pretty much usually have like 5 to 8 is like our family time, that whether that, if there's an activity, like my son has t-ball tonight, but usually it's more family time. It's not like, neither of us are typically working unless we have some networking or social event that we're going to, but we're not just up in our office working. That is our family time. So I think communicating is the biggest thing to me, and like having, like thinking about it ahead of time if we can, to schedule it. Like, and I know people always say like, put it in your calendar. And for me, like when it's in my calendar, I can just be like, brush that aside. Like, so yeah, put it in your calendar. That's cool. But it's like, if it's like something that's challenging for you. So sometimes for me, working out and like doing that regularly is challenging for me. I'm not one of those people who's just like, of course I work out. That's not me. It's like, no, I need to work out and I need to. So like for me, like I said, I meet a friend. Like that's why I get out of bed. Not for me. That's not why I get out of bed. Cause I'm like, I can't just not get out of bed. Like I'd feel really bad. Whereas, but then once I'm there and after the morning, I'm like, of course, that felt amazing. I loved it. But so setting up these systems to help me get there is always important for me, to make sure that I do the self-care. You know, like even this morning, my brother was my yoga instructor. He was the instructor. So I texted him last night saying like, I'm coming to class, knowing that because I texted him and he would give me shit if I didn't show up, that I texted him so that like, I make sure I get out of bed when my alarm goes off, you know? So it's like those type of things to help me have the accountability, you know, setting that, not just like setting my alarm, because that's hard in the morning for me, or just saying I'm going to do it, but like actually getting it on the calendar, scheduling when it's going to happen, and, you know, and putting the different tools in place I need to support it.
Well, that's great. I love how
accountability.
Yeah, accountability. That's what I was going to say. And also just asking / telling your husband that that's what you're going to do. Because I even find if I tell my husband, like, okay, I have an event to go to, he'll even, if I'm kind of thinking to back out of it, he'll be like, hey, don't you have this on Friday? Like, what do you need me to do? And once you are communicating, and me and my husband too are really good at communicating, but I find when I've fallen off the self-care wagon, I start kind of shrinking and not asking and not saying, hey, I need this. And he always says yes, like unless something's really going on. But I find myself not asking more when I'm not doing as much self-care, for myself, because then go back into that mommy mode of I'm the least and everybody's ahead of me and I need to take care of them. So yeah, I think that's really vital, is to whoever your partner is to ask, or even if you're a single mom, you know, getting those people in your life that can help you, one, stay accountable, but two, help you and just truly be able to call on them when you need a moment, when you're about to lose your shit, but hopefully before you're about to lose your shit, so you can actually not get to that point.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really good. Great.
I definitely have been on the losing my shit wagon all week, so I get it. I just haven't
some more
got that part. Yeah. All right. So, do you have any tips that you want to share with us?
Oops. I think Christine froze a little bit.
And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know. Oh, she's gonna ask you if she's back.
You're frozen.
You were frozen for a second.
Sorry. Any tips do you want to share with other parents, not just as a mom, but also as an entrepreneur in your own business, on how they could really take, I mean, you've already dropped so many amazing nuggets. Like, I'm sad I'm not taking notes. Thank God for replay. But any other tips that you maybe want to share?
Well, one thing that I'd love to share, that, and it's interesting because I have a lot of people ask me about mom guilt. You know, because I have so many kids and they're really young. They're not, you know, like they're not teenagers, and you know, where they're more independent, but they're still in like a needy mom phase. And I think a lot of women do have mom guilt, and I think it's really important to address. But I just listened to this amazing podcast that was talking about mom guilt and parent guilt, essentially, with the CEO of like a chocolate company, that like a pretty big company this woman had created. And it had this really great like approach that I think is great, that I've been using a little bit for myself, and that I'd love to share with others because I think it's so valuable. And just going back one bit before I share, I'll keep you in suspense, but is that I'm not a type of person who has a ton of mom guilt. So, you know, I know a lot of women put like this, like I said before, you have this self-imposed often, not, or if you're comparing yourself, you have like a culturally imposed, but expectation of like, you need to do it all. And I don't have a ton of guilt, but then there's definitely times, and I'm not immune to it, there, it creeps up where, oh my God, I haven't been reading with my daughter enough. Is she going to be behind in reading? I haven't spent enough time. Or like, oh my God, does my son not know all of his letters? What kind of a mom am I? You know, so like these things crop up, even though like I don't have overarching, like I don't feel guilty leaving for the day to go to work. However, there's times that crop up where I'm like, oh, am I not just doing enough for my children in terms of that type of guilt? But this guy who was a executive coach for this woman, and she talked a lot about this feeling, like when her son would say, you know, mommy, I just really, can't you take me to the zoo today? And her sense of just this like, oh, I'm such a bad mom that I can't just do these things when they want to. And I loved that the person came at it from the angle of, you know, he didn't try to say to her like, well, maybe what you should do is make time to spend, you know, when's another time you could do it? He didn't even say anything about like making more time or, you know, looking at your budget and spending special time other times. what he really looked at the angle of was just getting down to your kid's level and having empathy and sharing in their feeling of saying, you know, I really wish I could go with you today too. Or I really wish that I could do whatever it is they're asking, you know, like, I wish I could take you to school today, you know, and it makes me sad as well that I can't, you know, but today mommy needs to go to work, and I really love what I work and I get to go help people. So that's cool, but it does make me really sad that I can't take you today. And that so often your child will be like, okay, and they'll just move on. And then as a mom, we think that they're going to like cry, they're going to have to go to therapy as an adult. No, like it's actually just like, if you can empathize and get on their level and they understand that you're a person too who has feelings, you know, you also feel the same way that they do sometimes. You feel let down, you feel disappointed. And it's been really helpful for me, even just in this like maybe week since I listened to this, really getting at my kids' level, because my kids are at the stage now where they're definitely, they'll ask like, well, why can't we do this, Mom? Or why do you have to do that? Or why can't you pick me up from school? And, you know, I'll just be like, you know, because mommy works then. And that's just, you know, and I'm really sorry. Like it's, you know, I'm sorry that I couldn't pick you up. It disappoints me that I can't be there right away too, you know, but mommy's out doing some really great things that's really helpful for a lot of other people. And, you know, so that's really cool. And that's really important to me. And that they're usually like, okay. And I think that realization, like that when we can just empathize and then sometimes see the reaction that typically it's not as big as we make it in our minds, is really empowering then for us to be like, oh, okay, I'm putting a lot of like pressure on myself and I should really be able to let go of this a little sooner. And then, you know, like if you can, you know, if you want to, you know, there's different times, but like I've been trying in the past month to do the like once a month, the 30 minutes to an hour of like the special time with one-on-one with each of my kids. You know, I'd never done that before, ever, until probably like 6 months ago. And it's been making a huge difference. They love it. They just light up. And so, I don't know, that's my biggest thing, I think, that about the mom guilt of like, just really like sharing with them how they feel.
I think that's it. That's huge. I'm always talking about feelings, and I do that with my adult clients, and we talk a lot about that. And actually, we're going to be doing that a lot in our mommy space group, talking with your kids about feelings. So that was so perfect. Thank you for sharing that story. Because it is huge. It's just like this morning, I said almost that exact same thing to Lily is, you know, I know you really want mommy to stay here with you today because we've had such a fun long weekend and it's been so great. But, you know, mommy stayed here yesterday because mommy was tired too, and you were tired and we needed some time together. Yesterday was my day with her for extra time that we built into our schedule. I was like, but today mommy, you know, really needs to go to work. And she was like, okay. And like, that's what calmed her down. And that's all she needed to hear. And I was over there like getting kind of stressed out. I'm like, I have a podcast, like we need to hurry up kind of thing. And she was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, you're going to stay with our nanny is Danielle too. I'm like, you're going to stay with Miss Danielle and you guys are going to go to the park and have fun. And she's like, okay, like totally fine, you know? So you're right. We make it into something so much bigger than it needs to be, for sure.
No, definly.
Yeah.
Our mean mommy in our head. It's usually the mean girl, but we have the mean mommy.
Yeah, right.
Yes. I'm going to just read a few comments. We've had a few people watching.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And so one of them said, Erica, she said, I am currently working with my 10-year-old about this and money. They don't realize that it comes from hard work, not just a piece of plastic. So yeah, just like we talked about a little bit at the beginning too. It's just, you know, mommy's gotta make some money.
Just put me on the credit card.
Yeah.
Like, no one has a basic
get the debit card.
Yes, just put it on there. It'll be fine. I know kids' perception of money is so funny, but my daughter, like, I was trying to explain to her in like the most simplistic terms about money the other day, because we had like an old credit card she was looking at and coins and dollars. And it's interesting though how kids nowadays they only think that the credit card is money because they hardly ever see real dollar bills and coins, and they think that that's the best prized possession. That's really interesting. Another Erica said, being a mom is hard and you don't realize till you beat yourself up about it that you do everything for your kids and often forget yourself. We have to take care of ourselves to be able to take care of the little ones. And then Ashley said that my daughter's daycare really stresses to the kids that mommies and daddies have to work so we can live in our nice houses and do fun things. It really helps them realize that they aren't just abandoning them at daycare each day. And I know Ashley is a full-time working mom, but an amazing parent. Her and her husband are great, and I've met them through both of us having PCOS and having daughters, but just being able to recognize that and be okay with that. And I know Ashley likes her job and everything. So being able to, whether you're a full-time working mom for someone else or for as an entrepreneur, or whether you're a stay-at-home mom, being okay with your situation and, letting your kids see that, I think is really important, and letting them know that you're happy. And if you're not happy, figure out how to be happy and take care of yourself. But if you are content in that, and I know plenty of moms that are stay-at-home moms that absolutely adore that and love that. I also know a lot of stay-at-home moms that absolutely hate it and want to do something else. So I want to empower moms, and that's why we're doing this podcast, is for people to see a variety of different moms and how they handle things and how they deal with things. We're going to interview some full-time working moms, a bunch more entrepreneurs, just because that's the people we play with, hang out with. But also stay-at-home moms that love that too. Because I think it's really important for us to be able to see everything and not just one, and see how it works.
Well, and what you said is so important too, that it's like each of us need to do what works for us, and that's and works for our family. Mm-hmm. And that it could be, sometimes there's short-term versus long-term, it could be that someone stays at home for a year or 3 years, or, and then they do something or they don't, it's just like, it's so personal. And I think that's where, if we can let go of, all the judgment and everything, because it's like, we each just have to do what works for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, this comment here from Ashley, I saw a meme that said you're either a Pinterest mom or an Amazon Prime mom. This is funny.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime, because I just realized this morning that my son has 2 days of diapers left. I was like, done.
2 days? I've literally ordered when there's 2 diapers left.
Oh, yeah, I've totally done that too.
Now in Portland, so I can get it within 2 hours. So that's even more empowering.
Amazon Prime now was made for the working and entrepreneur mom, or just the mom that has forgotten everything in life, because
well, I have Amazon subscription, so I don't even have to think about it usually, but I don't potty training nonsense in this house,
right?
And so that actually made me laugh. We are Amazon Prime moms. I will never be a Pinterest mom.
Yes, that's okay. But if you are a Pinterest mom,
that's awesome.
Yes, exactly.
And
the ladies are agreeing. They're like, yes, totally. So we know we have our tribe that's watching.
We're the Amazon Prime tribe.
Yeah.
Worth $97 a year. If you ask me, I would pay 5,000 times that.
Right. It's yeah.
Oh, I know.
All right. So Danielle, outside of all the momming, we want to hear what you're up to right now. If you have any offerings, what's going on in your business, anything you want to share.
Yeah. So, I'm crazy. I really thrive working with one-on-one clients. That's my jam. And that's where my clients get the best results. And that's really what I focused all my efforts in. So I'm still at the startup phase of my business. Really, I'd say it's just been a year for this, doing the business strategy work. And so I'm keeping my efforts really focused, and I'm really just focusing on growing my clients, and I'm almost to capacity there, with my one-on-one clients. And so, if anyone is interested, I'm happy to have them reach out, set up time to chat, learn more about me, and join my list. I send out emails sometimes, sometimes frequently, sometimes not. A lot of times it's a lot of tactics, a little bit of, just sort of a mindset and maybe self-care stuff, but just life. But mainly really focus on business tactics. I do a lot with team settings, delegation, how to stop doing everything, that kind of stuff. But I love just interacting with people. And so I love, if anybody just was hey, I love the podcast, I'd love to hear back from people. That's my thing, is really connecting. And if you're in the Portland area, let me know. I love connecting in person. I'm not an all online person. And I've really learned that about my business. My business, I'm really focusing on more in-person stuff, because it's how I love connecting with people. And so in that, it's been interesting. So if anybody's around, I'd love to connect, but I don't have any specific offers right now, except I'd love to keep in touch. Join my email list. You can go to my website, danielleewalt.com. And I do have a Facebook group, the Heart-Centered Hustlers. So they can join that as well.
Nice. Well, I will link all of the stuff on the notes for the podcast, and we'll be also posting this recording on YouTube for more people to catch it. And Danielle, it has been a pleasure. You have dropped so many amazing things. You were a perfect first guest to our show, so we're so excited.
I didn't realize that. I love it.
Yeah, no, we're super excited, and everybody stay tuned. Next week we'll be having Danielle Savory here to talk a little bit more about similar stuff, but give a different perspective, because we're going to be doing the next 4 weeks will all be focused on self-care and mommyhood, because that is what we know is really huge, and why we have created a new program called Mommy Space, because that is what we get the biggest questions about, is around mom guilt and self-care, and how to make time for yourself and do everything without doing everything.
I'll give a plug for her, because I've worked with her one-on-one. Like, she's been my coach for like mindfulness, and and she's amazing and she's fun. Yeah. And so like, you guys will definitely want to tune in next week, because I really good things about her.
I adore her, and I wish I was in Portland, because I want to go to her Wild Woman dinner. I mean, just everything she does sounds so great too. So so thank you, Danielle, so much. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. And we will be posting this soon for everybody else to watch. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Have a good one.